Shoehart instead of Baby Shark from Ryan. I think we ought to get started. Happy Tuesday,
I can do it
everybody.
again now that it's being recorded. Now that it's being recorded, we could do it. No, never mind.
Let's hold off today. So happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you for joining SCIP. We are so excited today because we have an opportunity to actually dive in and learn a little bit more about one of our 4 focus areas in SCIP. And just as a reminder, we really have 4 areas that we are looking to develop within SCIP. The first is the internal meetings, which you are participating in today. Then we also want to talk about external meetings where we also fold in people from other healthcare systems and other industries. So we're working on developing that. The third pillar is community impact, which I am so excited about. And that's what we're going to hear about today. And then the fourth really is the marketing. So we're going to kick that off as well so we can continue to grow our community both internally and externally. So with that being said, I won't belabor the point. Our fearless leader, Dot Cordova, raised her hand and said, you know what, I will take on community impact. I will lead it. Who's coming with me? And Anicia jumped right on with her. So we're so excited today to hear from them, to talk about what they've been doing on behalf of SCIP in the community and how you can get involved. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dot and Anicia.
Thanks so much. Let's see, I guess what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen. And then we can show you our presentation. So give me just a moment here, and then we'll do that.
I've got it up, Dot, if you want me to share.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that would be great. I'll wait. And so we're going to take kind of a team approach here. Really awesome to be able to partner with Anicia on this. And so, you know, as we mentioned, right, kind of this is the community, or as Jakaria mentioned, this is the community pillar of SCIP. And so if we want to kind of move to the next slide, when Anicia and I met, we really wanted to say, like, what do we think is the goal here for this pillar? What would be our mission? And so we said, let's you know, in a perfect world, we would like to be able to share improvement methodology and resources, and also project management support with a specific focus on our local communities in the area. And so we said, let's do our focus area would be nonprofits in the Bay Area. And we know that we're all busy. So how do we do this without kind of taking on the work for them? Because the goal is really to be able to kind of share with them what to do, and then allow them to be able to apply this future state. So it was really nice that her and I kind of talked through that. We were on the same page, so that when we met with one of these nonprofits, we were not, you know, there wasn't any confusion. And the way that we kind of had those initial conversations with them was that was sort of on the forefront of our mind. All right. And let's see here. I think there was a question in the chat. Are we looking at nonprofit organizations that impact health? We probably will at some point. Thanks for your question, Joy. I think honestly, I'll be frank. When we wanted to do something this calendar year in the community pillar, and so I had recently done a like a food bank event with the Boys and Girls Club in East Palo Alto, and had made a contact with somebody there. And so because that contact was established, we decided to go there, and they were responsive.
Food banks impact health.
I'm sorry?
Food banks impact health. That sounds like way within the realm.
I think true. I think when you said health, I was thinking like healthcare system kind of thing, and that's not necessarily, but yeah, absolutely. Cool. And it seems that, okay, so Micah, thank you. Used to work with a lot of race coordinators, local chambers of commerce. So please, if you have ideas and things, and we'll, you know, Nisi will talk about this later. If you have ideas, thoughts, please reach out to us. We are just getting started on this and are excited to just kind of, you know, move forward. And so please, we would love to have ideas. We would love to have more people kind of connect with us. So thank you so much for your comments. We'll keep going. And so these are just some offerings that we thought of that we could give. So improvement training tools, again, we can talk through teaching to fish, project management support, and then, you know, just where can we get connected with folks? So obviously this community, different orgs, I think we've got some folks that are connected as well. We'll keep going. Thank you. And then, so these are specifically some tools. So these are all tools that should look very familiar to you as far as 5S, workflow, looking at waste, problem solving, and so forth. So what was interesting actually with this is you forget how much we have at our fingertips, right? Like so many of these things we use on a day-to-day basis. And so kind of thinking about how other you know, other types of industries could potentially use our skills was great. And so think about, you know, too, just something to think about as we move on with this presentation, just if there's like an area here that, you know, you're like, I'm really good at this, keep that in mind for some of the discussion that we're going to have later. Okay, we'll keep going. And then, so we had kind of improvement, 2 buckets, improvement and project management support. And so this is more on the project side, just around facilitation with different programs, event planning and so forth, and then building their knowledge base for their institution. And then, okay, and so as I mentioned, we started with Boys and Girls Club just because that contact had been established already. And so reached out to them to say, hey, you know what, this is what we're about. This is how we feel we'd like to be able to be involved in the community. And we'd love to see if we can provide any offering to you. And so they had an upcoming event in June where they need to train a number of individuals, 150 individuals in person. And they had an event previously with about 50 people where they were trying to do that training in 2 days virtually. Now they're doing this in person training over 5 days. So, you know, much larger scope and more people, you know, challenges with COVID and so forth. And so they really just needed help with planning. What do I need to think about? What do I need to get done? And then also, if I'm not in this role anymore, how can I hand something off to somebody who might be taking this on moving forward? Okay, let's see here. And then, so goals. So really it was, again, just thinking through logistics with the group and giving them some tools. So we suggested the Asana Kanban board. We gave them some facilitator guides, timetables to be able to help them plan with their event. And then looking forward, being able to have kind of planning templates, playbook templates for that handoff in the future. And then we really just set up time with them. We kind of met with them, I think, every week, every other week, just to kind of say, how you doing? Are you on track with what you said you needed to do by this time frame to be ready for your event in June? And so that's really been what we've been doing. So I think, Anicia, is that where I transition over to you now?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
So we just wanted to kind of give you an overview of some of the tools that we actually ended up sharing with them. I think the goals were, 1, to help them plan for the current event that they had that was coming up. It starts June 13th. So that's very, very soon. And they just were like, hey, we need help getting organized for that. And then, as Dot captured, like, how do we memorialize some of the content that they're building out now so that they can continue to build an institutional body of knowledge for future events? So one of the things that I introduced as far as meeting current state planning was this tool called Asana. Why I thought this was a great selection for them is that it's free and works really well for teams under 15 people. And so the free version has most, if not all, of the functionality that the professional version has. It's just the scale of the actual product is a little bit different. So we introduced a Kanban board to them that allowed them to kind of identify what were the things that they were still thinking about, what were the items that they were actively doing, and then to capture the things that are now complete and how can they reflect back on that. The other thing that they found very important or helpful about it is that the Kanban view actually converts into a calendar view. So they could actually look at the timing and pacing of how they were accomplishing their tasks. And this actually lends itself really well to one of the documents that we shared with them for memorializing some of the timing for their projects. The next thing that we shared with them for their current state is a facilitator guide. So I've used these here at Stanford as a part of doing some 5S events. I think that they're really great because as they're shared amongst all the folks who are leading the different days, it really lays out who's responsible for what. It sets the tone for the day, and it kind of keeps tools and deliverables front of mind as people are going throughout it, so that you kind of are able to take all the stuff that you have in your head and put it on a piece of paper so that you're ready for the actual day and event. And then for anyone that has attended SELT, this should look slightly familiar. So this is a tweak on the timetables that have been historically used for SELT. We thought that this kind of does a nice job of is it really gives the attendees and the participants a wonderfully high-level view of the items that are coming up for the day, where they're supposed to be. So as you can see here on this visual, the location changes throughout the week. And it does communicate to people kind of the expectations, the themes of the day, and then who will be guiding them through the sessions. And the calendar view that I kind of mentioned earlier in the Asana lends itself to this tool. So this is a planning template that we hope they can leverage to memorialize some of the learnings through going through this session, this go around, but helping them to kind of understand how much of this stuff do I need to start getting ready 6 months before versus the day before the event, and outlining all their tasks that they have to get completed. And then what I love about this as well is it does include a recap so that they can capture learnings and modifications that they want to make to their program for future upcoming years. So it intentionally kind of builds that into each day. And last but certainly not least is the playbook. So something that we were hoping we could kind of share with them is this idea of how do you memorialize your standard work and the flow of this program, rolling it out, the kind of nitty-gritty details for how to launch this training program, and just have a single source of truth that they can share for when they move on from either owning this project or the actual role as a whole. And then, as Dot did a very nice point capturing, we do want to hear from all of you. We want this to continue to expand. We figured we kind of test the waters and see if there's any interest within our community for this type of support. But honestly and truthfully, the more the merrier. I think that there's a lot of different directions that we can take this in, and a lot of impacts that we can make within our local community. And so that just means so much to me, and hopefully this is exciting to all of you. With that, I am going to pause and allow for any questions. I haven't been moderating the chat, so I can take a peek there, or feel free to take yourself off mute and go ahead and ask your questions.
I have a question. How big of an engagement was this? Did you meet with them just once? Was it like a handful of times to get a sense of what they were doing and then to kind of follow up?
We had one scoping meeting where we kind of, shared with them the items that we had in our toolkit, the stuff that we were willing to kind of engage with them on. So Dot went over some of those earlier on, and then we've had about, I want to say, once a week meeting for maybe 30 minutes with them every other week. And then we've been communicating with them. They use Google Docs, so there has been some conversation across the Google Docs, but it's been fairly mild. I think, Dot, we've been meeting with them for about a month, so maybe 4 sessions total.
Yeah.
I have a question. How much do you see the teams that you introduce those tools to utilizing the tools? Like, are you able to see them making use of it and being active in Asana and in their calendar boards?
That's a great question. So I haven't been monitoring the Asana. My assumption is that they're leveraging it. They have taken some of the stuff that we've introduced to them and really started to make it their own, specifically the timetables. And then I think the facilitator guide, I think to the point that Dot made earlier of we didn't want to do the work for them. What we did do, though, is mock up a sample. So we took some of the content that we had chatted about and showed them what it could look like, and they've really taken some of that and run with it, as far as at least from what I've seen in the Google Drive.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's always the challenge, is not doing it for them, but hoping that they carry it forward and actually use the tool.
And actually, my question follows up on Jennifer's. It's totally related. So in addition to use, I mean, this is obviously a really wonderful, terrific package that you've given them. You not only taught them how to fish, but you basically gave them like to the best possible, like Asana is a great tool. You also gave them the tools, right? And in addition to assessing use, have there been any thoughts in terms of like periodically kind of touching point with them to see as they start to try this, are they using the tools as you've taught them? Are they continuing to make impact in the work that they do because of the tools so basically like post teaching sort of evaluation, checking in. Because it's great, like what you've given them, definitely.
Well, I think we were hoping that this would be kind of our first test with them, right? And then we plan to do kind of an after action review with them to see how their event went, see how the tools that we provided them work. So we have a conversation with them scheduled, I think, for next week, because their goal, this meeting or their training sessions scheduled for mid-June, and they wanted to have everything pretty much buttoned down by the 1st of June to be ready for that event. So it'll be nice to see when we connect with them next week to say, hey, was this helpful for you in the moment? Did you use it?
Mm-hmm.
And because we didn't want it to be more work, right? Like sometimes having a tool can be helpful, but you're like, whoa, I'm used to doing it this way, and trying to get used to something else can be challenging. So we really wanted to see how that will work when we connect with them. The good thing is, I will say, is they've used Asana in the past, but I think this was like a refresher, like, hey, this is how you can use Asana. And so I don't think they maybe used it like that in the past. So this, I think when Anicia came up with that idea, it was like, oh, they really liked it. So, and they liked the idea of having something for today and for future. And so hopefully we'll be able to see that. And then if they're interested, what we wanted to be able to do is, hey, let's try another project with you. And let's see if we can make it even better on the next time. And so we said, our goal is to let's try it. If it works well and there is some benefit for you and for us, let's maybe do 2 other tests of change and kind of iterate each time and see what we can do. So that was sort of the thought. Anicia, anything else to add on that one?
No, I think you captured it perfectly. I'm excited to hear kind of their learnings from each day and brainstorm with them how they can start to memorialize some of that. Because the folks who are working on the volunteer training this go around indicated that they wouldn't be working on it potentially next year. And so they do want to be able to transition and hand that off. So it'll be really great to kind of close the loop on, okay, you did it, you did the full program, we provided some tools and support in that way. what can you now take and embed in your institutional body of knowledge?
I have not just some, I don't have a question. I just have some feedback as far as like, this is awesome. This is, I mean, I think this is so cool. Just the ability to really quickly show how we can help. And I think that what's really cool is that it's Stanford showing up. So there's a lot of trust. And so you'll probably get some adoption because you don't have, it's not like us whenever we get embedded and over time we lose our influence with the people we're offering this advice to, right? It's kind of cool in that way. I just have a couple of thoughts that came to mind as far as like connecting this to the overall strategy, because this is such great work. And it's kind of like, so one is, you know, I know that one of our pillars is about branding and marketing. And I wonder, you know, how much of our branding and marketing should have this focus, like, you know, and say, all right, you know, I don't know, maybe we have a website or maybe we have a deck or something that says, you know, here as a community benefit, if you know, here's the type of thing that we do. So that's one thought that came to mind. And I'm sure that a lot of this is probably in, you know, because I saw this coming together so nicely. Another thing that came to mind is, all right, so who are some other folks that could help us expound upon maybe ways that we could help? And I put two in the chat. You know, like we used to work a lot with local race directors at the hospital I was at in Santa Clara, because they get up and quickly and they have repeat things. So it's easy to kind of help them either improve or use spaghetti maps and things like that. And they fit our mission. And then the Chamber of Commerce always, you know, if you're looking for more partners, and I know that our community partners might have relationships too, but the Chamber of Commerce they, you know, a lot of not-for-profit organizations join Chamber of Commerce's because they need the benefit of being a part of a bigger community that can like help out and things like that, get them going, help them with grants and all that. So those might be fertile grounds to sort of develop out more products like this that may, you know, be useful to our community partners. So I really, really love this stuff. And I told Lisa before we got on this call that this was going to be shared today, Lisa Freeman at the center. And I wonder whether or not something like this is something that could be shared in a newsletter or something more broadly at Stanford. So.
And Micah, those are all great points, and they lead right perfectly into us going into our breakout, because we really want to hear from our community about opportunities that we may not know about, or other ways we can think about synergizing through other Stanford arms or in our broader community. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Anicia to introduce the breakouts.
Yeah, so I think to Jakaria's point, we had a lot of chats around how can we continue to grow this. So our breakout questions are listed right here. Pardon? Oh, I think there's feedback on someone's phone. Where have you previously done community outreach, and have you been able to leverage your improvement skills in those volunteer opportunities? What would you be interested in working on? And then last but certainly not least, what skill set would you be interested in facilitating in the community, and what is your improvement superpower? So I think one thought was, how can we kind of continue to you know, connect with you all and make sure that we're potentially sharing the best of the best within our community. And so learning from you about what your interests are would be really great. I'm going to stop sharing, and I don't know if someone has the mural up, otherwise I can share.
So real fast before we get started. So those questions, yes, we want to talk about them, but one of the big parts of this group is getting to know each other too. So when you first get in the group, introduce each other, even if you know each other, and maybe talk about what your plans are for Memorial Day weekend or something like that, or if you had a cool trip. But just spend a little time getting to know each other, then jump into the questions, okay? So,
I think Selena's
Selena,
ready to send us out.
You got it? Okay, cool, great. Is this our group?
Yes,
Are
this
we in
is
a
our
right
group.
here? Oh,
Yes, this is our
okay.
group,
I was like, I'm
and the
looking
mural
for
link is in the
the
chat.
link. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so what group are we in? What group number?
We're
Do
the
we have a
recording
number?
group. We don't have a
Does
number.
it say that?
We are the coolest
No.
group.
Yeah.
The coolest group. Let's see. So we have how many teams? 4?
Yes.
All right, so we don't have one to use. We'll just talk through it, and I'll take some notes. Maybe I'll take notes on the bottom of team 4's, like below it. Let's go below there.
We could be
Which we'll
team
need to-
5, I guess.
Yeah,
Since-
I know, but there's not a place on mural, but that's okay.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. No problem. We're being
Let's talk.
recorded, so this is all good. Everyone gets to see all this stuff. Wonderful. All right, let's start off by quick introductions. I mean, can't see you, Gunita, but let me start. I'll start. My name's Ryan Dark. I am on the improvement team. I'm principal improvement consultant working with the team, and Memorial Day weekend plans. Really, got a game night with some friends on Friday night, but other than that, I think for the most part, I'm going to try to rest. And try to. I probably won't. I'll probably end up doing like a bunch of housework and stuff, catching up on all that stuff. But I really want to just chill and do like hardly anything. But I've been doing a lot, running around a lot, and been very busy, and I will continue to be. So this weekend would be great if I got some rest. All right, Yulia, let's hear from you.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I feel like I get to be the lucky one, just always gets recorded in the group. But I'm Julia. I work with nursing quality. I support oncology region. I'm a fan of this group, of this community. I think there's just process improvements is the future for healthcare. And in terms of plans for the weekend, I have a lot of birthday parties, dinners. I'm really excited to see some good people over the weekend. So, and somehow I feel energetic for it. So I'm looking forward for the Memorial Day.
That sounds fun. Good. Selena, what do you think? What about you?
Hi, I'm Selena Mesa. I am the program coordinator for the Stanford Medicine Center for Improvement, as well as the improvement team with Stanford Healthcare. And my plans, I'm going to Yosemite for the first time. My husband is so excited. My husband is the outdoorsy type, so he's super excited about me going. And so I'm just hopeful that I won't fall or anything.
Oh,
no,
what
you'll
a
do a
beautiful
lot of
place.
Yes, it's breathtaking, really. You feel like you're just among dinosaurs. I don't know, it's just those big rocks are very impressive.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
so great. So great. I can't wait to hear how you liked it. You'll love it. All right, Gunita, how about you?
Yeah, so I just stepped out of the house because I have been zoomed out all morning. I'm just going to put myself on camera here and then take it off.
Okay. Okay.
It's been to 6 o'clock in the morning onwards, this Zoom call. So I am Gunita Kashyap. I am the Senior Program Manager for Cancer Registry and Accreditation, and I'm with the quality team. Plans for the weekend are gardening. I live in Washington, and it's always raining here. I'm in Seattle. So we are going to have one right now gloomy day and a sunny weekend. So I am just going to do some gardening. Some boring life. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Meditating.
Yes.
Where in Washington are you?
Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. You said Seattle. Seattle. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to
Well,
take myself off camera just because I don't want to walk and then make everyone dizzy. So just for that reason.
You're fine. You're fine. I was told.
Okay.
I've been told, actually not once, several times, that I've asked people if it really does rain as much as they say in Seattle, and they always ask me, "Do you know what question they ask me before they answer?" Anyone? They say, "Are you from California?" Because if they say if you're from California,
So
they
true.
say yes, it rains all the time. But then if I say I'm
Don't
not,
come here.
they
Don't
say,
come here.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
say, oh no, it's actually doesn't rain very much at all. It's really funny. Anyway, okay. So let's jump in. Where have you previously done community outreach, and have you ever leveraged your improvement skill set in those volunteer opportunities? Yuli, you raised your hand, so you're ready to go.
Yeah, you know,
Tell us.
I feel like, well, and Ryan knows I've been doing a lot of community. Well, he doesn't know I've been doing community outreach, but he knows that I'm Ukrainian. And
Yeah.
in the last 90 days of war, I found myself in a lot of different areas where I really, you know, didn't feel like maybe I'm the right person for the job, but I definitely, you know, had to take a step back and see what can I do? How can I be helpful? And I think my intention was so great and was so dedicated that I found myself doing things like, you know, helping organize a charter plane from US to Poland and Ukraine with medical supplies, to buying the body armor. And I know that's a strange story, but for this Navy community, but that's what I've been doing in the last 3 months. And in terms of how I was able to leverage my skills, I think just kind of understanding, like in each of those situations, understanding like who are the people at the table, who are our key stakeholders, and you know, what do they need? And if they are, you know, doing some work between Ukraine and US, like, are we meeting both sides? Should we talk, before we try to put a lot of effort forward from this end, we should really know what's happening on the ground in Ukraine. And I think that's kind of recognizing that those are the questions that we needed to ask has been very, very helpful. And recently, you know, mental health is clearly going to be an issue for a while, but certain people reached out to me to help to organize mental health support, kind of a training by American doctors, therapists, how we can support therapists in Ukraine. And I think in the past, I would hesitate to do that because I was like, oh, am I actually capable of doing that? I've never done anything like that, but just kind of knowing that each project can have a structure. Like, I think just kind of recognizing there is a way to do things, and doesn't matter what the task is, if you approach it systematically and in a structured way, you're probably going to arrive at a good result. So I think that's been the biggest learning point for me. And I've never been so involved in any volunteer work so much, but I think it just brings a lot of meaning too. So that's what I learned, that if you do it for the right reasons, that's what matters. You might not know all the answers, but you will figure it out.
I love that. One of the things I really like about what you said is, and I'm paraphrasing, but that you're not afraid to step into any situation, even if you don't know even if you're not the content expert, because you know that there's a process and a structure, and that you've done it once and you know kind of how that works. I'm totally paraphrasing your statement, but
yeah, no.
And if you're passionate about whatever that mission is, that you can really get behind it and help anyone to be able to improve and be able to get things done. So, I mean, I don't know how I did with that, but that's how
you did
feel
great.
like I heard. Okay. And
it sounded good.
Really like it. I really like it. And I would love for you to share that with the group when we come back, because that to me is really what we're after. I think sometimes people are intimidated by, well, I'm not an expert in that area, or I don't know anything about whatever it is. Well, you're a great example of, you didn't know anything about it, but you had passion about it. And you did have expertise and training in improvement. And you then applied that to this. And wow, I think it surprised you that it crossed over, and it really helped and provide you with a great structure to be able to support those ideas and really help them out. So I would love for you to share that if you're willing. That's really cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be happy to share.
Others, Selena, Unita, what do you guys think?
Yeah, so I mean, this was such an inspiring story, what you just mentioned, and so real and so real time, and can also relate to it. Absolutely. I did something not so nice and not so big and not so generous, but I'm I moved here at this point 20 years ago from I had moved from India to US, and I did not have all the work things sorted out. So anyway, I volunteered. I have a master's in psychology, and I helped with, went to a mental health institution, and there was lack of support there. And just in that sort of my small way, because I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the whatever the documented requirements were to work there. I thought at least I could help in that way. So I worked with mental health, like, if patients who had mental health issues, and work with them. And so in terms of process improvement, so mine was very clinical sort of work, whatever I kind of knew, and I put that into practice. But to your point, you just know the systems, and you apply that knowledge to anywhere, and you can make it work and make it work well. So
Yeah, awesome. I'll share one. So for me, I have served on a couple of different school boards, and the latest one I served on, one of the things I noticed that they were struggling with strategy, strategic alignment, some of the gaps in their system, trying to understand who they wanted to be, where they wanted to go. And I stepped in and was like, okay, I can help with some of this stuff. So I got like chart pads and Post-it notes, and we went to town on like doing all the stuff that I'm trained to do, and found that it was very helpful for them. They'd never done anything like that. So it was pretty eye-opening to me, because I'm like, this seems very straightforward, and I would think that they would have done something like this, but they didn't. So it was really great. And I think we could do a lot of that with organizations. It really helps them get started thinking differently. Before we go on, Selena, you have anything you want to add?
So I don't have anything near what all of you have done. But pre-COVID, I did a lot of, I am also in committees at my children's school, and I do volunteer work with them. One thing that we did a lot of was we had a health equity fair or festival. So we had different cultures, and we all, it was so nice to see all the different parents dress up in their different culture, garb, and taking pictures together and getting to know each other. And like you were saying, knowing the stakeholders, knowing your audience, and sharing food with each other. It was a really wonderful time, and I look forward to doing that again post whatever pandemic whatever the normal will be in the future.
Selena, that sounds awesome. I would not downplay that at all. I love that. I think that's great. And that is something we could certainly do and help with. Okay, so I'm going to combine the next two, because I think we're probably running right on time. The next two are, what would you be interested in working on? And what skill set would you be interested in lending to the community? Or example, what is your improvement superpower? So you could start with either one or both. So what would you be interested in working on? And what motivates you? Like Yulia, yours is, of course, like, I'm passionate about my community, my heritage, and like, I want to be able to do what I can to support them, and especially as they're in need. And that could also be true locally too. There might be a community, like Selena, you talked about a fair for health equity, or even understanding different cultures and bringing them together. And how can we do something like that? That would be something that we would be passionate about. Mental health was brought up a couple times, so there may be something around those lines.
Ryan, thank you for thinking of me. I also am passionate about people learning about process improvement, because we have a lot of talented people, but I feel like in healthcare, you always have to feel like an expert in everything in order to do something. And I think that process improvement community really teaches you about the tools and resources you have. So I don't know if it's for this, gathering, but anything involving around bringing awareness to the group of people that gather today, or the tools and resources they have. I think I would be interested in working around, in that area. And also in terms of my superpowers, I think, I'm learning a lot of tools, so I wouldn't say that's my superpower yet, but I think I'm very approachable and I'm easy to talk to. So anything that requires connecting people, bringing people together, helping people to collaborate, that could be my superpower. And I think that's a skill I learned as an immigrant, go introduce myself and be proactive. So I think that has helped me so much in life. So I would like to give that back to community as well.
I'm going to, because we're asking specifically, I'm going to put names to these just so that if they want to know who is the superpower of connecting people and helping people to collaborate, we know who to go to. All right, good.
And no one wants to mess with the Ukrainian right now. So the right person for the job.
Okay, side note, did you see that the president of Ukraine is going to be addressing the students at Stanford? That's pretty cool. Yeah.
At 9 o'clock on Friday. I didn't register for the event actually.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear that. So
yeah, it sounds interesting. I would also say my superpower is connecting people. I really have a passion for bringing people together and, working at Stanford. I've been here since 2008. So sometimes things get a little siloed at times. And so if there's any opportunity to bring folks together that are working on the same project or working on similar things, I enjoy doing that.
It seems like that's the common theme. Maybe that's why we are all on this call, because I think we all, in some ways, feel very passionate about it. And I would say ditto to what the other two ladies have said. Love connecting people, love engaging with people, and whatever is the need. Honestly, I think you could just plug me in, whatever the need would be, because I don't think I have a superpower.
Okay, good. So let me share one of the things when I think about this topic, how much time do we have?
We have like 2 minutes.
To make this. 2 minutes, okay. When I think about this topic, I think about when I'm dreaming about this, I do dream about stuff like this. I think about helping to make the community better and using our skills to be able to improve systems, processes, organizations, things like that. So I would love to be able to go into an organization, like kind of what was done with this one, but help them from a system level to be able to start thinking differently, and maybe even give them the capability through training and teaching of how to then transform their organization and in turn the community overall health, wellness, all of it. And then also with doing that, helping Stanford to be an integral part of the community, which I don't know that we've done a great job of over the years, from what I understand. I don't know that firsthand. That's what I've heard. And for me, superpower, I guess in the context of this, I would say it's getting things started, like being a catalyst for change. I do like to jump in and just go for it and bring people together like this and see where it goes. I'm not the best, and my superpower is not keeping things going long term, like ongoing. I'm not that good at that. But getting things, catalyst for change, and getting it going, yeah, that's for sure. Something I can do.
And thank you, Ryan, for sharing that, because I always thought that people who are good, they need to do everything. But then I learned, I don't know, maybe it's in our black belt class or from my husband who's an engineer, there are people who start the project, there are people who are leading the project, and there are people who are sustaining whatever you need to sustain. So like, I think that was like eye-opening. I'm like, oh, hold on, you can just start things and and hopefully like do a good job starting it and making sure like succession is planning is there. Yeah. But I think that's something I didn't realize.
So Yulia, we did talk about that in the project management class about getting it going and then handing it off to someone for the ongoing, the operations or the ongoing process. You do hand it off, for sure.
Yeah.
Bringing folks
Yeah,
back now.
Because I talked to somebody who says, no, I just started the project.
Oh, I think that,
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Dot, I'm going to take it from here. And how much time do we have for this next section? We've got probably about 10 minutes, right? For the debrief?
let's go with 7.
7. Okay, great. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Really excited to hear how it all went. So I've got the mural up, but for the sake of time, I think I'd rather see everyone's faces. And you guys have your murals, so I'm going to just go through each of the groups. And if you would just give me, we've got 7 minutes, we've got 5 groups. So in just about a minute and 10 seconds, if you could, give us some of your highlights. So highlights on what you've done, highlights on what you're interested in working on, and highlights on superpowers. I'd really like to know the superpowers, honestly. But so let's start with team 1. You know your teams, guys? You would know your teams.
Were you guys team 1, Ryan? Because you guys were in the waiting room, right?
No,
Okay.
we were team 5. We named ourselves, or the A team, I guess, or whatever. We didn't actually name ourselves. No. Okay, let's go to team 2 because I don't know that team 1 knows who they are. All right, team 2.
I was on team 2.
All right, Micah.
Some of the places that we've done, so we had a lot of food bank stuff. And then the Heart Walk, which I already mentioned before. Some of the thinking was that there does seem to be a lot of opportunity, like the way that the food bank, the foods are usually ran and their processes and logistics and things like that. So I'll run through this and guys feel free to chime in if I didn't hit it right. And then the other was what would we be interested in working on? So I think homelessness, we spend a little bit of time talking about that. Don't really know exactly what to do there, but it just does seem like something that fits with Stanford, our mission, but then also a problem that we see all the time, and just, you know, wondering if there are things or ways to connect people to the right resources or anything that nature. And then another thing that came up was potentially like career mentorship, that sort of thing. That coaching is something that we're all used to doing in our roles. And then local community outreach events. I will butcher that one if I go into more depth. And then skill sets, we had a bunch of those we thought about. So we had obviously like systems thinking, leadership coaching, process improvement, organizational development, actually just rapid improvement workshop, which is something that was shared earlier, connecting people to partnerships, doing project management, or just teaching performance improvement, curriculum, helping organize volunteer operations or logistics, and then even things like crisis management. We even have a nurse on our team, so nursing that came up as well.
All right, Micah, so I'm going to have to cut you off, but what I want for homework for that group is give me names for these. I would love to know who's who. And honestly, I'd love to, I mean, I'm not kidding with that. I would love to know who's some areas or people that we could go to as a group as we build our resource. And you don't have to be an expert, but like, this is an area that you're passionate about, we're interested in. So we'll have this mural board up and still available for all of you, especially as we do that. I wish, I wonder. So that's our feedback for this session. So go in there and put your name next to some of these and continue to add to it. And if you're willing to provide that to us, so we can be able to build our community that way. All right, so let's go to team 3. Team 3, quickly.
Why didn't we skip team 1? Are we just doing that later?
I called out team 1, but are you team 1, Jake?
Yeah.
I tried it and no one answered, so I skipped them.
Okay.
So, sorry. Yeah.
So missed opportunity. Go ahead to team 3.
Yeah, missed opportunity.
Well, we're team 3, but we can let team 1 go.
Thanks, Joy. So glad Joy was-
Overriding the facilitator. Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so for team 1, a few things. I thought it was Jose was on our team, and I thought his perspective was interesting from patient experience. One of his superpowers was patient experience, human-centered design, working with well, maybe a lower resource health system such as like a county or district hospital, and offering some training or some collaborative efforts would be neat. And then Noelle brought up her superpower in teaching and presenting and being willing to teach or present QI methods in some type of venue.
Right. Joy, now you can go.
Okay, so we talked about, I think really, and the where would you be interested in working on? There are pretty much everything impacts health in some way. And so keeping that fairly broad and yet reaching out to be able to figure out how do we narrow it down and make it a little bit more strategic and not just kind of scattershot. And so one would be talking to Colleen Johnson, the director of community partnership. We talked also about Lisa, her superpower is her network and making connections. And so she knows the veteran homelessness lead. We can work with Ravenswood Community Health Center, the Silicon Valley Second Harvest Food Bank, and also the Stanford School of Business has a program to be able to help with nonprofits. And so we can reach out to them and just get a better sense of what they do and why they do it and how they do it. So that as we try to expand it a little bit, what of that do we like and what do we not like? And then in terms of skill sets, we added, so Lisa's networking and then my problem identification, being able to like really think through the point that I made was that the list that that we saw of for the Boys and Girls Club were more technical. So it was like 5S and like, I want to say lean, but improvement tools. And then what they ended up with were these project management tools. And so I thought that was really interesting.
Thanks. Okay, team 4, 30 seconds now. How about team 4? Just highlights.
Okay, so I can do it real quick. We probably didn't answer a lot of questions because we were talking about maybe what we would like to use our tools is for the East Bay area, the Oakland, the hospitals that don't have the resources that Stanford have. We really want to go and meet them, not them having to come to us. And really, before we even get there, understanding what is it that they need? How is it that we can use our tools? One example that we're currently doing right now at Stanford is Black Nurses Association is working with Highland to help them decrease their CLABSI rates. And so we're sharing our program for ultrasound guided IVs. So we really want to take Stanford to those communities that don't have, access to all the great improvement resources that we have, be it schools, be it community centers, be it hospitals. We just really want to go there. And so that's what we were all thinking.
Outstanding. That sounds great. And then, so I'll do our team. There was a lot of work. Yulia, now if we had time, actually it's recorded, so you can go back and listen, but Yulia shared her passion for Ukraine, her heritage, and some of the work she's doing there, and doing some amazing work, honestly, with the country and the people of Ukraine. So she was passionate about it, but I'll just try to give it a summary of it. But passionate about it, and then was like, well, I don't know what to do to help, so I'll just jump in and do it, and then learned through doing it that a lot of this improvement methodology was really helping her give structure to be able to jump into even a situation she didn't know anything about and be able to provide guidance and structure. And then that opened her eyes to, hey, I could jump in anywhere and do this anywhere and any place. So I think that's really encouraging to any of us, thinking that, hey, these skills can translate across regions, parts of the world, language, industries, etc. So really, really great. So, and then we talked about our superpowers, but I don't have time to go into each of those, except that we have a lot of people who are great with connecting people and helping people collaborate. Really, really good at that. So, okay, with that, we have only a couple minutes left, and I would like to then hand it back to some of you to back on the mural. We have I like, I wish, I wonder, and we would really like your feedback. I talk about this every time we have these meetings. We really value your input. So what we do is we look at what the things you like, the things you wish, and the things you wonder maybe we could do. And then every time we take that feedback and we modify the upcoming session based on that. I also do know that, Selena, we have a quick survey on the, are you going to email that out, or are we going to do that? Why don't we email that out? We have a request for what we think would be good for the days of the month, and for this particular session, seeing if there is a better day. We might actually alternate from fourth Tuesday from 2 to 3, and also another day we might alternate every other month so that we can maximize the participation for this group. So if you would take a second to do that, and while you're doing that, I just want to share my appreciation to our great presenters who jumped right in, not only to help with the community, but also to share what they've done. They were amazing. Dot and Nisa, you guys are superstars, and you are modeling the way for us. And also for all of you being vulnerable, sharing during our breakouts, and for participating. We really value your participation, you showing up, you engaging in this community, because this isn't about us presenting something. This is about all of us working together and building a community together. So thank you for that. And look for an upcoming email from us about communicating both the recording and some of the notes from what we did here, but also we would want your feedback for when we're going to be meeting again next and what works for you guys. So with that, we are at 2:59. Jakaria, you have any last words that you want to share?
Nope, you wrapped it wonderfully. Thank you, Ryan. We just watch for the poll and know that this is not Dot and Anisia's work. So we'll be looking for everybody to lean in. We feel the enthusiasm, and we're so excited to know that you all are looking to impact your community as well. So thank you for joining.